Mark Ekren, Morris Area Schools. I am receiving the Class A Athletic Director of the Year Award. I grew up in Breckenridge, Minnesota, born and raised there. Growing up in our neighborhood, we would always play all kinds of games, whether it was a pickup basketball game, a pickup baseball game, playing frisbee, bombardment, broom ball. It never ended. It was year-round. My father was an athletic director at Breckenridge High School for many years. When I was a young kid, I always got to ride on the team bus. One time when we were at the state tournament, and in 1978, I was a freshman, and the coach turned around, Steve Lipp, and he turned around and he said, "Hey, Mark, you ready to play in a state tournament next year?" And I was just like, I got shivers, and sure enough, in 1979, I was a sophomore, and we played in a state basketball tournament. Breckenridge didn't have much to say for football, and my senior year, we had a nice winning record. We got to the state playoffs, and from there, Breckenridge football took off. Another highlight growing up was running track and field. I was a state champion in the 4x4, and we were also the 1980 state champion track. Okay, so right out of high school, I went to North Dakota State University. I was playing football and basketball there. I had a few injuries. I wanted to continue my football career in college. I went on to Valley City State and finished up there, got my teaching degree. From there, I got my first job coaching at Herman Norcross. And then from there, I moved on to Morris Area Schools. That's when I decided I really wanted to be an athletic director. Mike Martin was a great mentor. He was an athletic director at Morris for a few years. 11 years ago, the job came open at Morris Area High School. I talked to my father about it, and he says, apply. This is what you need to do. This is what you were born to do. So, one of the stories I really like to tell is the Hofbarber story. So I was on the left side of the hoop on the bench side, and I had the ball in my hand. I looked over to Steve and I said, "Hey Steve, it's your clock, buddy. Have fun with it." Hopkins comes out and he goes, "I want the ball on that side." And I said, "No." He goes, "Yeah, it's a made basket. I can take the ball out wherever I want." I'm like, oh. So I kind of did the walk of shame across the lane, and Steve goes, "Hey Mark, your clock. Have fun with it." Well, as the kid was gonna give the ball to the kid, he turned around and Trent Tucker was on the commentary doing the TV play-by-play, and he said, "Hey Trent, Tucker, Kristen Leitner coming at you." And the kid threw the long pass down, and I took off running as fast as I could. And as it went down, the ball came up to the top of the key, and a bunch of bodies, crashed together. I looked down, and there was a kid on the floor, and he grabbed the ball and he threw it up. And I looked up, the ball was in the air, the lights went off. Well, I knew we had a made basket. Three of us got together. I looked at Mike, and Mike said, "Hey," he was laying out flat on the floor. "There is just no way that could be a three-pointer." And I agreed with him, and we walked over. I counted the basket. We're going to go 2 points, and we're going to go to another overtime, in which Hopkins had won. But that's a pretty unique story. I've been reffing for 35 years, basketball, football, track and field, and those things only come once a lifetime. For me to be an athletic director, it means to not only organize all of our sports and all of our activities, but also to work with our captains. I did start a captains meeting. I learned from a state conference. I would meet with the captains, talk to them about what does it mean to be a captain? Why are you captain? Why did you get selected? How should I act? And even for those officers, if the FFA or BPA officers, what does it mean to be? And that's one of my highlights that I really like about being an athletic director, is working with the student athletes. The MNIAAA to me is a professional organization that really helps with our young athletic directors and also our old athletic directors. Our MNIAAA state conference every year, breakout sessions, is where I learned a lot of things that I do. One of them was getting captains meeting, having parent meetings, learning how to fundraise, all kinds of breakout sessions. The advice I would give a young AD is, number one, be a good listener. Be positive. Always be professional. Put a smile on your face when you're at the games or the activities. And listen to other people's opinions. Be open-minded. Over and all, just be supportive and positive to our student athletes. I'd like to thank, first of all, my wife, Michelle, who's been by my side all the time as an athletic director. She has to listen to my complaints. She has to listen to my excitement. I'd also like to thank my father and my late mother for a great childhood. I'd like to thank my children for all they do. I also like to thank my grandkids. Right now I have the great opportunity to coach and teach my grandkids as they're in school. I'd also like to thank the West Central Conference athletic directors, Bob down in Montevideo, Garrett and Benson, Billy Mills in Minnewaska, Bergie and Sauk, Jonathan in Melrose, and Derek down in Bold. I'd also like to thank another group of athletic directors, Jake in West Central, Chad in Hancock, Corey in Wheaton, Tony in Lacoparo Valley, and also Shannon Schmidt when she was the AD in Benson. We have a good text thread and we have a lot of good relationships. I'd also like to thank my administrative assistant, Jody Arndt. She is a wonderful person. She's great with kids. She helps me out all the time with athletics. She's willing to supervise, take tickets, whatever it takes to keep the activities going. I'd also like to thank Scott Munson. He was the superintendent at the time. He hired me. He had a lot of confidence in me. And I also want to thank the MNIAAA, because this is a great honor and a privilege to be up here and talking to you as the Class A Athletic Director of the Year. It's very much appreciative. It's awesome. I want to say thank you to my colleagues.